Hi, Anti-Society! Welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet. Today we are checking out P1Harmony's Killin It comeback showcase, and I'm always excited to check out any kind of live performance just because there's always a different energy to those, but also I think that just coming from a background of somebody who performed on stages, there's just something different about that for me than seeing like a music video. I don't have experience performing for cameras and filming and all of that, but on stage that just brings me to like a very specific time in my performing career, I suppose. But there are a couple of things I'm going to be keeping in mind going into this one specifically for Killin It. One is that I already checked the dance practice, so I have a little bit of an idea of the choreo that I'm coming into. But one, I noticed that there's a lot of back and forth on the stage in this choreo, which can be give or take with going, transposing that onto a stage, right? Because if you have a smaller stage than you're used to practicing in, you need to reel in some of your movements so that you don't travel too far and kind of squish somebody out of the formation. If you have a bigger stage, you need to feel enough of it that it doesn't look weird, which can mean that you have to cover a lot more ground in the same amount of time. So it can be a little bit iffy. I know that P1Harmony is great. I've seen other performances by them, so it's not like I'm looking for something. I'm just like, that is a technicality that I know that they're going to have to accommodate for. And second is that there's a lot of footwork, and they were like really stomping it in the practice. So I know that that is also because they're focusing on the dance in the dance practices. However, bringing that into a live performance and bringing the energy whilst also making sure that your breath support is stable and something that you can control while you're trying to do like live vocals at the same time is also a thing that you're going to have to keep in mind while doing this choreo. So I'm excited to see how they translate this into an actual live performance and seeing all the kind of elements come together as opposed to just watching the dance or seeing it through the form of the music video. I mean, the stage looks pretty cool. I like the like comic book vibe. Yeah, the comic book vibes going into this. We're not on stage yet though. The piece and then having the like white dove. Nice. Okay, this isn't a super big stage, so that's probably gonna help with some of their movement, but it's definitely bigger than their practice space. Nice, grand entrance. Cool guitar going in. With the outfits from the music video. I can remember Jungsub's hat. Let's go. Nice. I love that blackout of the stage and then getting into formation. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so like already love kind of all of the lead up to opening up. I'm assuming this is opening up the whole act, which makes sense because it's the lead single. Love Intak's facial expressions through all of this. Like he had a bunch of that. I mean, I've seen other performances by P1Harmony, but love how we got to see some of those expressions in the dance practice, but he's like really leaning into it for the live performance, especially since there's going to be cameras and like close-ups and stuff like that. So bringing some more of that character in and super stable vocals starting us out. I need him to not smile like that. He's such a cutie. That little like footwork there. Like Theo's smooth with it. Facial expressions are on point for all of them. Also, like, again, before they get into the actual chorus and all the choreo for this, I will say one thing with these close-ups and the amount of like movement that they're doing, glitch in my brain a little bit. And I know that that's me and just like sensory things, because between like the backlighting with the screens and having like this like movement with the camera to keep up with their movements, my brain is just glitching a little bit. So if I unfocus a little bit, that's why. I apologize. Can't help it though. That's just like how my brain is. But super stable vocals all the way around. From what I can hear, again, I'm not like the best person to gauge what is live vocals and what isn't, mostly because I don't care that much. I know that there are people who are like really intense about those kinds of things. I don't care, honestly. I'm here to watch a performance. I don't really care how it all gets put together. So, but from what I can hear, you can definitely hear the like breath like popping on their mics. So there's definitely a live vocal track, whether or not it was something recorded before mixed with them doing it at the time. I don't know. I'm assuming they're singing live. I will give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they're singing all of it live, but I am not the right person to gauge that. But super stable for all of it and putting in like little moments of personality into it as well. I think like Soul's vocals were the most because he deviated a little bit from the melody in his little like close-up part there. So keeping up with the choreo, from what I can see, again zoomed in, it's a little bit more difficult, and we got the stable vocals coming through. I want to hear them after the first chorus choreo though. I mean, Kyo's vocals are clean. Oh, see, I feel like there were some points there where they were like switching in and out, at least with some of the vocals, but like their cheeky little like smiles and stuff, they're just like, they're so cute. I'm just like sitting here being proud.
My rule came 2005. time still alive now. I have a star of the 6-piece beach pink stylish. My vision, ambition, machine, I got your reason.
I mean, we pulled the mic away there and didn't have the same vocals. They might just be proving me right. Again, benefit of the doubt. I mean, I will say one thing. I think it's really clever of them for this song, after having this burst of energy with the chorus and all the choreo involved there. And I don't know how much in the rejigging of this was choreo being thought up along with song and like line distribution. Like I don't know. I know that they've got some behind like making of stuff for this album that I haven't gotten to yet, so I don't know how much they kind of go through the process of them putting this song together. But I think it's very clever of them to have the rappers come in for the second verse, because it is a lot easier to have more of like a fast cadence. And I say this as somebody who's not a rapper, so someone can tell me I'm wrong. And I know that there's a lot of breath support that comes into it and like diction involved, but it's a lot easier to have more cut off sounds after doing a bunch of choreo like that and you're kind of catching your breath than to have like more of like a vocal delivery where you're kind of holding notes, elongated notes, and that kind of a thing. So you want something that has more of a choppy delivery, so that if you do have those moments of like you know, like it's okay, because it's kind of like adding into the overall performance. And again, there's a lot of breath support that goes into rapping as well, but it's a little bit easier to cover it up than to have like a vocal like we're about to get right now, where it's more drawn out and all of that. So having a moment where like the choreo also kind of slows down, everybody can kind of catch their breath a little bit before we get into the next part, and we need to get some vocals delivered as well. I'm mad at him holding his mic like that though. Dunk Sub, don't cup your mic. On behalf of all of the sound engineers. Don't wow at me though. This outfit though. Ooh, is it just me, or did Dunk Sub like changed the key there a little bit. Like it's a lower note. Right there. Unfair of him to look that good during this part. Ooh, and then Peo went up. Like a bit of a shouting cadence.
So ready, say, let's go. Yeah, you already know, boy.
No. Unacceptable. Okay, for one, can we talk about how Kyo has to have his mic so far away from him because we know that boy can project his voice, okay? Second, I was really vocals clean from him, especially considering I know that he's not the most, I know he has some stage fright, right? I know that singing in front of other people is not something that he's super comfortable with and it's something that he's kind of working on, at least last that I checked in. Again, there's a lot of stuff that I'm still catching up on from all the way back at this point. So who knows what has happened in the interim that may have helped him in that journey. But for what I can remember, not something he's super comfortable with. And the fact that he has some of the cleanest live vocals I've heard. I mean, hun, you should not be worried singing in front of other people. You've got it. And I was curious about how he was going to do the lower note because in the recording, there's a lot of vocal fry helping him get to that note. And it's definitely a little bit past his comfortable zone in the bottom of his range. So I was interested to see what he was going to do with that. If it was going to be let the backing track do it. In this case, they just put the note up a little bit, let his charisma come through because he's got it, he's got that stage presence. So I love him getting that moment of all the music kind of cuts out and he gets to just have his little cheeky moment front and center. After that vocal run?
Yeah, you already know, boy.
No. Ooh, love how they all start kind of sang there. Yeah, we had more voices there. I like how some of them are very serious and then some of them are smiling and having a good time. Which I think pretty much shows some of the contrast in that. But love how at the end too, where we had this spurt of energy that we had some of the other members kind of joining in with some of the vocals. I think that's a really great way of not only keeping that energy, right, of having multiple voices going. They've got the headsets for their mics anyway, so they're gonna be kind of on hot mics the whole time anyway, which again, if you're huffing and puffing to get through this choreo, that's always a little bit of a liability if you have a mic up in your face. It's just why you'll see some people pull the mic down and out of the way while they're not singing so that they can kind of breathe properly while going through the choreo. So great to have that as, adding more voices to keep that energy up. But also it means that if whoever is front and center with Intak and Xiang, that if they don't have all of the stability there, doesn't matter. You've got multiple voices coming through with that kind of shouting cadence to kind of carry it through, right? So, and again, they sounded great, super stable vocals given the amount of choreo involved. And if this is at the beginning of this showcase, then I would hope so. But, it all depends on halfway through when you've already done a few performances. And I say this as somebody who has performed on stage and I've done all the training to be able to dance and sing at the same time. So before anyone leaves in my comments of oh, they do all of this kind of training, I know, I've done it. Okay, I know how much effort is put into it, and it doesn't make it it doesn't make you Superman. Okay, it doesn't mean that you don't have moments where you get halfway through the performance and you don't start to feel it, right? But super stable vocals in here. But again, if there were a time where the people singing at that point where it's this more high energy dancing, having those multiple voices come in just helps fill in that sound. If it's thinning out because they're breast support isn't all the way there, or if it's shaking because they're focusing more on the dance than the vocal side of it. Having those other voices come in just kind of like helps stabilize that. So I like how they kind of arranged it. I also feel like having this set the way that it is meant that they could kind of get away with not moving as much across the stage. Again, I didn't get a good like zoom out to really see all of that, but I really like getting to see how they kind of did little shifts in the way that the song was performed in order to accommodate for the fact that they're doing it live. Some of that might just be improv in the moment, felt right, and some of that might be them specifically shifting some things around because they want to make sure that they can perform it to the best of their ability and kind of accommodate for the fact that this is live instead of in a studio where you have multiple takes and you can kind of play around with some things. Fantastic performance. I mean, again, I kind of knew that going in, but I always like to see how live performances differ from other settings, right? Because in the dance practice, they're focusing on the dancing, and performance, there's more going on, right? Love the facial expressions all around from them. I knew that, obviously. They always have so much great stage presence and charisma, and there's just like a certain character to their group that I really like getting to see. Like, there's such a like, it has to be high energy, but they have to be very relaxed and laid back in their delivery of it, which is such a delicate balance, right? Like, there's not only is that difficult to pull off of like, how do you make something seem like it has this like high intensity energy to it in the choreo whilst looking as if you could not be bothered, right? Is already a difficult kind of character to bring into the performance, but also like how do you like keep that kind of laid back persona when you're also like doing all this intense choreo, right? So I always like to see how they translate that, see some of the things that they do to kind of accommodate for the fact that it is a live performance as opposed to a studio recording or being in the practice room. And I like seeing some of the things that they switched around and at what points they were like singing stuff live and what points they weren't. And I mean, some of it I may have missed, okay? I'm gonna be honest, my brain does not like LED screens with fast movements. So my brain was like a little bit scattered going into that. So I apologize if there's some things that I missed. It's just my brain trying to accommodate for that. But overall, really liked this performance. Excited to continue to try and catch up on some things and get back into this group some more. So I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click let's play to go to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to miss next time I post a P1Harmony reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.